That thought usually shows up in the cracks between your days. It doesn't arrive during the big, cinematic moments of your life. It finds you during the quiet, unremarkable ones. It catches you when you're rinsing a plate, the warm water running over your hands, and you find yourself staring at the sink for just a second longer than you need to. Or perhaps it hits you when you're sitting in your car, parked outside your place. The engine is off, the dashboard lights have flickered out, and the world outside is still. Yet you somehow can't make yourself open the door and step into the house. In that silence, a whisper starts to grow in the back of your mind. It's the thought that asks, I am doing everything I am supposed to do. So why does it feel like I'm not actually going anywhere? And no, most people don't get stuck because they're lazy or unintelligent, or because they lack some secret reserve of willpower. That is the convenient explanation, the one the world offers because it's easy to package. It gives you a simple target to blame and a deceptively straightforward fix. Just try harder, work more, be more disciplined. But the truth is far messier and more haunting than a lack of effort. People get stuck not because they are failing at life, but because being stuck can look an awful lot like being a responsible adult. It looks like showing up for your commitments every single day. It looks like paying your bills on time, answering every urgent email, and being the reliable person everyone else depends on. It looks like keeping the entire machinery of your existence from falling apart. From the outside, you might even look like you're thriving. You aren't lying on the couch ignoring the world. You're moving, you're busy, you're handling things. You have a calendar packed with obligations and a mind crowded with shoulds. Because you are functional, and because you are coping so well, it becomes terrifyingly easy to miss what is happening underneath the surface. The quiet, steady realization that your life is becoming a loop. It's the cycle of work, bills, errands, and family obligations. You tell yourself that you'll get to the things that actually matter. Your dreams, your projects, the version of yourself you actually like. After this month, or after this project, or after the holidays. You promise yourself you'll change things when the kids are older, or when work finally calms down. But deep down, in those quiet moments by the sink, you know that work never truly calms down. The loop doesn't announce itself with the blare of a crisis. It slips into your life like background noise that you eventually stop hearing. This is what makes being stuck so difficult to diagnose. It doesn't always look like failure. Sometimes it just looks like life, continuing. Days stack up like bricks. Weeks disappear into the fog of routine, and months go by without a single meaningful change. Nothing is technically wrong in the eyes of the world, except for that hollow part of you that no longer feels like you're the protagonist of your own story. No one wakes up one morning and declares that they've decided to choose a lifetime of stagnation. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens the way a room gets cluttered. One small, seemingly insignificant decision at a time. You don't apply for the program you bookmarked months ago. You don't send the message you've been drafting in your notes for weeks. You decide not to take a risk this year because the timing isn't perfect. And honestly, your reasons make perfect sense. They aren't stupid excuses. They are exactly the kind of reasons a reasonable, sensible person would give. But then, you slowly get used to the version of your life that doesn't include the things you once wanted. And because you get used to it, you stop arguing with yourself about it. The temporary pause you took to get your life in order stops feeling temporary. It turns into a background setting that you stop trying to adjust, as if you've forgotten the volume knob even exists. Here is the truth that few people say out loud. Getting stuck doesn't always feel like the sharp spike of anxiety. Sometimes it feels much worse. It's more draining, more corrosive. It is a specific kind of exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. You can still laugh at a joke, you can still go out to a nice dinner, and you can still push through your daily tasks with efficiency. And yet, you feel as though you are watching your own life from a slight distance. You are present in the room, but you aren't really in your life. Time is moving at a relentless pace, and you are doing your very best impression of moving along with it. But the gears aren't catching. On paper, everything remains fine. You have the job, you have the steady income, and you are keeping the wheels of your responsibilities turning. You can justify every decision you've made, and those explanations are real. They matter because they are the building blocks of the story you've created just to survive the day-to-day. You aren't failing. You are simply existing in a state of quiet resignation that feels like a permanent script. The world around you doesn't help you break free because the world rewards predictability. It isn't some cartoon villain system designed to crush your spirit, but rather a set of quiet incentives that shape what feels sensible to do. Stability is praised by your peers. Routine is applauded as a sign of maturity. Consistency is treated as the ultimate virtue. Change, real, fundamental change, comes with a heavy price. It comes with paperwork, uncomfortable conversations, social friction, and a terrifying hit to your very identity. It is inconvenient for everyone around you because it asks them to rearrange their expectations of who you are. So, yes, it is easier for everyone, including yourself, when you stay exactly the same. Even when that same life is starting to shrink you, day by day, until you barely recognize the person you used to be. Most people can feel this shrinkage if you catch them in a rare moment of honesty. It happens late at night when the distractions fade, or after scrolling past a photo that triggers a strange, bitter mix of envy and regret. But we don't talk about it in our daytime language. We don't bring it up over brunch or in casual conversation. Because admitting you are stuck isn't just admitting you made a wrong turn. It's looking at the entire structure of your life and wondering if any of it still fits. That is a terrifying question to ask. So we keep our eyes on the dishes, our hands on the steering wheel, and we keep moving through the loop. Instead of facing the terrifying realization that your life might need a total overhaul, you do what most humans do when a truth feels too heavy to hold. You soften it. You develop a vocabulary of comfort. You tell yourself, it's just a phase, or it'll get better soon, or I just have to get through this season. These sentences are deceptively dangerous because they are so comforting. They take the immediate pressure off your chest and allow you to hope without actually requiring you to act. They function like painkillers you can swallow without anyone noticing, numbing the discomfort of your situation while the underlying issue remains untouched. This is why they stick. They allow you to live for years inside the quiet promise of, a little more time, while the tragedy remains that time passes whether you eventually cash in that promise or not. The strangest thing about being stuck is how remarkably little effort it requires from you. You never have to explicitly decide, I will stay here forever and give up on my potential. All you have to do is keep postponing the single moment where you actually choose a different path. Most days, this stagnation doesn't even feel like a paralyzing fear. It feels like simple math. Every step you know you should take, switching careers, leaving a draining relationship, finally putting your creative work out into the world, or moving to a new city, has a specific, immediate cost. It isn't just about money, it's about energy, uncertainty, the risk of looking foolish, and the very real possibility of disappointing the people who rely on you. You risk discovering that you actually want something entirely different than the life you've spent a decade building. Meanwhile, staying exactly where you are feels cheaper. At least, it feels cheaper today. Most people live on today's budget because the long-term future feels like an abstract fog. But today is loud, specific, and demanding. Today is made of rent, deadlines, dishes, and children's schedules. As long as you are handling those immediate tasks, you can convince yourself that you are doing the right thing. You are being an adult. You are being responsible. You are not falling behind. And yet, underneath all that productivity, there is a quiet voice that reminds you that you are compromising your way into a smaller and smaller life. Being stuck doesn't look like a blatant, catastrophic mistake. It looks like a series of small compromises. It looks like saying, I'll circle back to that later, until you eventually stop noticing how far you've drifted from the person who used to ask, without hesitation, what's next? Little by little, your expectations for your own life become more modest. Your horizon stops stretching toward the future and begins to pull inward. The big, expansive questions about purpose and growth are replaced by small, urgent questions about survival. How do I just get through this week? How do I keep everything steady? How do I avoid rocking the boat? Eventually, your entire inner language shifts. Your primary motivation is no longer what you want, but what you feel you must do. Your internal dialogue becomes a litany of, I have to work, I have to keep going, I have to stay stable, I have to be the reliable one. And that I have to is incredibly convincing because it is backed by the weight of real responsibilities and very real consequences. But here is the catch. Reality is constantly changing, and if you never change with it, you will wake up one day and realize you've been living by an old script long after the scene has ended. You didn't choose a small life on purpose. You simply got very, very good at not choosing at all. This is where the trap becomes truly tricky. Many people stay stuck forever, not because they are physically or financially unable to leave, but because nothing ever gets bad enough to force them out. There is no dramatic collapse, no single moment of crisis that screams, "This is it, you have to go right now." Because there is no sharp pain, there is no immediate urge to heal. Being stuck works precisely because it doesn't hurt right away. It doesn't scream. It just dulls you, quietly and gradually. It is like a room where the lights are dimming so slowly that your eyes adjust to the darkness without you ever realizing it. You keep navigating the space, convinced you can still see everything clearly, until one day the light is gone entirely, and you realize you can no longer even see your own hands. You are living a life of quiet resignation, following a script you didn't write, and the most dangerous part is that you've learned to call it stability.